The topic that we're going to examine is executive team working. Now, this can be a very difficult issue for managers to tackle, but a very important one. When we think of team working, we tend to think of a football team that works well, that people support each other, they're there at the right time, and things come together. But it doesn't always work out like that. Now, we've got somebody in the studio today who's done some research in this area and has got some tips and ideas about how to make top team working work. Now, Dr. Catherine Bailey, you've done some work in this area. What actually is it that makes top team working difficult?
The nature of the task of the top team in any organisation is what makes it difficult. They're there to sustain the business, which means that they have to make tough decisions, increasingly tough decisions in today's climate about who we are, what we want to be, and how we're going to get there. And in order to do that, it involves us asking and answering some pretty difficult questions. Questions that those people around the table will have different views about. They legitimately have different perspectives, different pressures, different priorities. That's what makes the decision-making situation a difficult one. That's what makes the task a difficult one. And in a climate such as we have now, with the challenges and changes that are really requiring businesses to think really hard about some pretty fundamental questions, those discussions are inevitably debates which are often very challenging, and most teams don't do it very well.
Now, you've had an extensive look at this. You've gone out and asked some top teams and top managers and got some very interesting feedback.
Yes, we have. We have. Well, the feedback, the question we asked was, what makes it difficult? Why is it difficult to get into what we call this zone of uncomfortable debate? They say that it's difficult because you don't want to be taken by surprise. You don't want what is going to lurk in there. When it starts, what's going to come out? Concerned about other people losing their temper, concern about things getting personalised, concern about there being casualties in such a discussion and a debate, not having the confidence that we can actually discuss something in a level way which is fundamental, critical but sensitive in the business without people losing their temper and as it becoming totally dysfunctional and not hitting the mark.
So people are really then very afraid, very concerned, and it's almost like it's a ring-fenced area then, this zone of uncomfortable debate.
Actually, it's interesting you should say that because yes, it is a ring-fenced zone. Not everybody, of course, is fearful of it. Some people actually relish it, and of course it's those who relish it who actually make it even more difficult for those who try and avoid it or seek to avoid it. And there's always that element in every team. So the issue is, how do we manage, how do we get into the zone of uncomfortable debate, and how can we negotiate it without casualty and have a productive discussion? So the measures, the ideas come straight from that. What top teams do and to do it well is they prepare for it. Prepare the people, give people advance warning. This is what we're going to discuss. Perhaps change where it is you have that discussion, or sit in different places, or something which says this is a different kind of conversation we're going to have, something that marks it. Perhaps they would also recognise, and this is important, recognise that getting into the zone of uncomfortable debate is what we are here for. That's what we're paid for. That we are here to ask and answer those difficult questions. So it's normal. What we have to think about is, how do we do it well? And how do we do it well is to recognise that it's uncomfortable, to recognise that it takes certain skills. What are those skills? There are skills to do with being politically aware. If I know where different people are likely to come from, if I understand and respect their agendas, it makes it so much easier to negotiate a discussion, for example. Emotionally aware. Do you recognise when your own emotions are rising up? Do you control those emotions? Do you recognise the impact if you don't? Do you recognise the impact on the dynamics if you don't do that? And thinking about keeping the discussion productive. What do I mean? I mean, keep the focus on the business, not the personal. Keep the focus on the issue, not the personalities. That makes it so much easier for everybody to discuss a difficult issue.
So some very useful tips, some very useful things to say, really. And I think one of the key messages comes to my mind is recognise there is a zone of uncomfortable debate and don't shy away from it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Dr. Catherine Bailey, thank you very much.
Thank you.